The monthly condo meeting was the last place I wanted to be on a Thursday evening. 20 residents crammed into the community room, arguing about parking spots and landscaping budgets. I sat in the back row, half listening to Mrs. Bradford complain about someone's dog for the third time this month. My wife sat 2 rows ahead with her friend Natalie. They'd been whispering and giggling through most of the meeting. I didn't think much of it until the HOA president asked if anyone had concerns about the upcoming renovation assessment. That's when she stood up. "Actually, I have a solution to the budget problem," she announced, loud enough that conversation stopped. "My husband back there could help. Or better yet, maybe someone here wants to take him off my hands? I desperately need more space at home." The room went silent. A few uncomfortable laughs scattered around. I felt every eye turn toward me. She wasn't done. "Seriously, anyone interested? He takes up too much room, and I could use the extra closet space." My jaw tightened. This wasn't playful teasing between spouses. This was calculated humiliation in front of our neighbors. I stayed quiet, watching her enjoy the attention. Then Vanessa, our neighbor from 2 floors down, raised her hand. Mid-20s, always polite in the elevator. "I'll take him." My wife's smile widened. She thought she had an ally in her little performance. Vanessa continued, "I have plenty of room for him at my place. And I actually appreciate when people contribute instead of just complaining." The smile vanished from my wife's face. Natalie grabbed her arm, but she shook it off. The room erupted in whispers. Mrs. Bradford looked positively delighted at this unexpected entertainment. My wife tried to recover. "I was obviously joking." "Were you?" Vanessa asked, genuinely curious. Because it didn't sound like a joke to me. It sounded pretty disrespectful. The HOA president cleared his throat and moved on to the next agenda item, but the damage was done. My wife sat down, her face flushed. She avoided looking at me for the rest of the meeting. When it ended, she grabbed her purse and stormed out without a word. I took my time, nodding at a few neighbors who gave me sympathetic looks. Vanessa caught up with me in the hallway. "Hey, I hope I didn't overstep," she said. "That just felt wrong." "You didn't overstep. Thanks for saying something. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm in 302. Seriously, I appreciated the offer and headed home. Our apartment was on the 4th floor. When I walked in, she was already gone. No note, nothing. I poured myself a drink and sat on the couch. Around 9, my phone buzzed. A text from her. "Spending the night at my aunt's. Can't stand looking at your face after today." I stared at the message for a moment. After today? She humiliated me in front of 20 people, and somehow I was the problem? I typed back. "Tell your ex he can have you soon. You'll be free." I knew about Jeremy. I'd known for 2 weeks. The late-night text she thought I didn't notice. The way she angled her phone away when I walked into the room. The fact that her book club meetings somehow always ran until midnight on Wednesdays. Jeremy had moved back to town 6 months ago. Funny how her behavior changed around the same time. I didn't expect a response. I figured she'd stay at her aunt's, come home tomorrow with some prepared speech about how I embarrassed her by not defending her at the meeting. 16 minutes later, I heard keys in the door. She burst in, face pale, eyes wide. The keys were actually shaking in her hand. "What did you just say?" Her voice cracked. I stayed on the couch, drink in hand. "You got my message." "How do you?" She stopped herself. "There's nothing going on with Jeremy." "Okay. I'm serious. We're just friends." "Okay." She hated when I did this. Calm, unbothered, not taking the bait. She wanted to fight. She wanted me to yell so she could play the victim. "You're being ridiculous," she said, dropping her purse on the counter. That text was completely out of line. Was it? Because publicly offering me to our neighbors seemed pretty out of line too. That was a joke. Jokes are supposed to be funny. Nobody was laughing except you and Natalie. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. "You're making this into something it's not." "Am I?" "Because from where I'm sitting, you disrespected me in public, then ran to your aunt's house, or wherever you actually went, because you couldn't handle being called out. Then you sent me that text about not wanting to look at my face. And now you're back here in under 20 minutes because I mentioned Jeremy." Her face went from pale to red. "You're twisting everything. I'm stating facts. If there's nothing going on with Jeremy, why did that text bring you home so fast? Your aunt lives 40 minutes away." She didn't have an answer for that. I stood up. "Here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow morning, you're going to explain exactly what's been going on. Every text, every meeting, every conversation. And if I find out you're lying, We're done. No discussion, no second chances. You can't just. I can. And I will. You decided to make our marriage a public joke tonight. Now you get to decide if there's anything left worth saving. I walked past her into the bedroom and closed the door. She didn't follow. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Part of me wondered if I was overreacting. But then I remembered her face when Vanessa offered to take me in. That wasn't embarrassment. That was fear of losing control. She'd pushed too far this time. And now she was going to learn that I don't beg, I don't chase, and I definitely don't tolerate being humiliated for entertainment. Tomorrow would be interesting. I woke up at 6, same as always. She was already in the kitchen when I came out, still wearing yesterday's clothes. Dark circles under her eyes told me she hadn't slept much. Coffee, she offered, trying to sound normal. Sure. She poured 2 cups with shaking hands. We sat at the kitchen table, and the silence stretched between us like a canyon. So I said, "Start talking." She took a breath. "Jeremy and I have been texting. That's it. Nothing physical, nothing inappropriate." "Show me your phone." "What?" "Your phone. Right now." Her eyes darted to her purse on the counter. "I don't have to prove anything to you." "You're right. You don't. But then we're done here, and you can call Jeremy to help you pack." She stared at me, calculating. Finally, she got up and grabbed her phone. She unlocked it and handed it over, but her hand hesitated before letting go. I opened her messages. Jeremy's name was third from the top, below her sister and Natalie. I scrolled up to the beginning. 3 months of conversations. The first message from him: "Hey stranger, heard you still live in the area. Would love to catch up." Her response came 2 hours later. "Oh wow, hey. Yeah, still here. How've you been?" It escalated from there. Casual at first, then more personal. Inside jokes I didn't understand. Late-night conversations about what could have been. Photos of random things with captions like, "This reminded me of you." I stopped at a message from 2 weeks ago. Him: "Coffee tomorrow? Just the 2 of us. Like old times." Her: "I'd like that. There's a place on Madison Street, away from the usual spots." Away from the usual spots. Away from anyone who might recognize her. I looked up. She was gripping her coffee mug so hard her knuckles were white. "Nothing inappropriate?" I asked. "We just talked. That's all." "You met him for coffee. How many times?" She didn't answer. "How many times?" I repeated, my voice level but firm. 4. Maybe 5. Maybe 5 times. But it was innocent. We just caught up on life. I scrolled further. A message from last week. "I miss this. Miss us talking. Miss you." Her response: "I miss it too. Things at home are complicated." I set the phone down carefully. "Complicated? That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" "Because from where I'm sitting, you've been having an emotional affair for 3 months, meeting your ex secretly, and telling him our marriage is complicated. It's not an affair. What would you call it?" She stood up, pacing. "We're just friends reconnecting. You're making this into something it's not. Friends don't meet in secret. Friends don't text at midnight when their spouse is asleep. Friends don't say they miss each other like that. You're twisting everything. Jeremy and I have history. We're comfortable with each other. That doesn't mean anything." I stood up too. "Here's what I know. You've been lying to me for 3 months. You've been prioritizing another man's attention over our marriage. And last night, you were so comfortable disrespecting me in public that you thought it was funny. Until someone called you out. Vanessa had no right. Vanessa had every right. She saw someone being treated like garbage and said something. Unlike the 20 other people who just sat there uncomfortable. She crossed her arms. "So what now? You're going to throw away 8 years of marriage because I had coffee with an old friend. You're still calling him an old friend. After I just read those messages. That's the problem right there. Fine. What do you want me to say? I want you to be honest. For once. Why did you make that joke last night?" She looked away. "I don't know. Natalie and I were talking about how stressed I've been, and it just came out." "Stressed about what?" "About us. About feeling like we're just roommates going through motions. And instead of talking to me about it, you talked to Jeremy. And Natalie. And apparently everyone except your husband. You're never home. You work late. You're always tired. We barely talk anymore." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. I'm home by 6 every night. We have dinner together 4 times a week. The other 3 nights, you have plans with Natalie or your book club or your aunt. So don't stand there and tell me I'm never home." She faltered. "It's not about the hours. It's about the connection." "You're right. The connection is broken because you chose to connect with Jeremy instead of working on us. You chose to meet him in secret instead of being honest with me. You chose to humiliate me last night instead of respecting our marriage. One mistake doesn't erase 8 years. This isn't one mistake. This is months of deception. This is a pattern. And last night wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. You wanted to hurt me in front of people, and you did. She sat back down, tears forming. So that's it. You're just giving up. I'm not giving up. I'm refusing to be disrespected anymore. There's a difference. What does that mean? It means you have a choice to make. Cut Jeremy out completely. Block him. Delete his number and all contact, or we're done. No middle ground. No, we're just friends excuse. He goes, or I do. That's not fair. You can't make me cut people out of my life. You're right. I can't make you do anything. But I can decide what I'm willing to accept in my marriage. And secret meetings with your ex while telling him our marriage is complicated? That's not acceptable. She wiped her eyes. And if I choose to stay friends with him? Then I call the landlord Monday morning and let him know only one of us will be renewing the lease. The apartment's in my name. You'll have 30 days. Her face went pale again. You'd actually kick me out? I'd actually choose to respect myself. Something I should have done the moment you started lying to me. The silence that followed was heavy. She stared at her coffee, processing. I need time to think, she finally said. You have until Sunday night. That's 48 hours. Decide if this marriage is worth fighting for, or if Jeremy's attention means more to you. I grabbed my keys and wallet. I'm going out. When I get back, I don't want to talk about this until you've made your decision. Where are you going? Does it matter? She didn't answer. I left her sitting at the table and headed to the gym. I needed to clear my head and work out the frustration building in my chest. As I drove, I thought about how we got here. 8 years of marriage, and somehow we'd become strangers. But I wasn't going to beg her to choose me. I wasn't going to compete with Jeremy for my own wife's attention. Either she wanted to be married, or she didn't. Either she respected me, or she didn't. And if she couldn't figure that out by Sunday night, then the decision was already made. Saturday morning arrived with tension thick enough to cut. She'd spent Friday barely speaking to me, alternating between her phone and staring out the window. I kept my distance, catching up on work and staying busy. Around 10, her sister Lauren showed up unannounced. I heard them talking in hushed voices in the living room while I worked in the bedroom. 20 minutes later, Lauren knocked on my door. Can we talk? She asked. Depends. Are you here to tell me I'm overreacting? She stepped inside and closed the door. Actually, no. I told her she messed up badly. But she's my sister, so I'm trying to help her fix this. I appreciated the honesty. What did she tell you? Everything. The texts, the coffee meetings, Jeremy, and that disaster at the condo meeting. Lauren sat on the edge of the bed. Look, I know she's wrong, but she's panicking. She doesn't want to lose you. She has a funny way of showing it. I agree, but she's scared. She thinks if she cuts Jeremy off completely, she'll lose a friend. And if she doesn't, she loses her marriage. That's not a difficult choice if she actually values this marriage. Lauren nodded slowly. You're right. I told her the same thing. But can I ask you something? Are you genuinely willing to work on this? Or have you already checked out? I thought about it. 2 weeks ago, I would have fought to save this. But after reading those messages and seeing how little she respected me at that meeting, I'm protecting myself now. If she wants to save this marriage, she needs to prove it. I'm done being the only one trying. Fair enough. Lauren stood up. For what it's worth, I think you're handling this better than most guys would. After she left, I heard more conversation, then the front door closing. My wife appeared in the bedroom doorway. Lauren thinks I'm being stupid, she said. Are you? She leaned against the doorframe. I've been thinking about what you said, about choosing, and I blocked Jeremy's number, deleted all our messages. I waited. There was a but coming, but I think you're being unfair. Asking me to cut someone out of my life completely feels controlling. There it was. Controlling would be telling you who you can and can't talk to in general. This is setting a boundary after you betrayed my trust. That's different. I didn't betray anything. We didn't sleep together. You had an emotional affair. You lied for 3 months. You disrespected me publicly. Those are betrayals. She pushed off the doorframe, frustrated. Why does everything have to be so black and white with you? Why can't there be any gray area? Because gray areas are where people hide their excuses. You either want to be married or you don't. You either respect me or you don't. There's no gray there. So you won't even consider couples therapy? Getting help? Help with what? You know what the problem is. You know what needs to change. A therapist isn't going to tell you anything different than what I already said. She crossed her arms. You've already made up your mind, haven't you? Nothing I do will be good enough. That's not true. But I'm not going to reward bad behavior with patience. I don't owe you anymore. You want to save this? Prove it with actions, not words. I told you I blocked him because I gave you an ultimatum, not because you wanted to. There's a difference. What do you want from me? Her voice rose. You want me to grovel? Beg. Tell me what will make this right. I want you to actually understand what you did wrong. Not just say the words I want to hear, but genuinely get it. And right now, I don't think you do. I said I'm sorry. When? Because I haven't heard that yet. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her face reddened. I shouldn't have to apologize for having friends. And there it is. You still think this is about friendship. It's not. It's about lying, sneaking around, and choosing another man's emotional support over your husband's. Until you understand that, we're just wasting time. She turned and walked away. I heard her grab her purse and keys, then the front door slammed. Through the window, I watched her get in her car and drive off. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. Hey, saw your wife leave looking upset. Everything okay? Not trying to pry. Just wanted to check in. I typed back. Appreciate you asking. Working through some stuff. Thanks for what you said at the meeting. Her reply came quickly. Sometimes people need to hear the truth. If you need to talk or just want to grab coffee sometime, offer stands. No pressure. It was a genuine offer from someone who barely knew me, but had shown more respect in 5 minutes than my wife had in months. I thanked her and set my phone down. The rest of Saturday passed slowly. She didn't come home until after dark. When she did, she went straight to the bedroom without a word. I slept on the couch. Sunday morning, I woke to find her in the kitchen again. She'd made breakfast, eggs, bacon, toast, comfort food, a peace offering. Can we talk? She asked, setting a plate in front of me. Sure. She sat across from me. I've been thinking a lot. About everything. About us. I ate and waited for her to continue. I don't want to lose you. I know I messed up. The thing with Jeremy got out of hand, and I should have told you about it from the start. Why didn't you? Because I knew you'd react exactly like this. So you're blaming me for your decision to lie? No, that's not what I meant. I knew it would become a thing, and I thought if I kept it casual, it wouldn't matter. But it did matter. Because you were getting something from him that you weren't getting from me. That's the part you're still not admitting. She looked down at her plate. He made me feel appreciated. Like what I said mattered. We'd talk for hours about everything and nothing, and it felt easy. And why couldn't you have that with me? I don't know. We got so caught up in routines and responsibilities. We stopped really talking. So instead of bringing that up with me, you found someone else to fill that gap. You see how that's a problem, right? She nodded slowly. I do now. I really do. And I want to fix it. I want us to get back to how we used to be. That's nice. But actions matter more than wants. You blocked Jeremy, which is step one. But rebuilding trust? That takes time and consistent effort. Not just a nice breakfast and an apology. I know. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Are you willing to be completely transparent? Let me see your phone anytime I ask. Tell me where you're going, who you're with. She hesitated. For how long? Until I can trust you again. However long that takes. That seems extreme. Maybe. But you broke the trust. This is what rebuilding it looks like. If that's too much for you, then we're back to square one. She stared at her eggs, thinking, okay, fine. Complete transparency. And we need to address why you thought it was okay to humiliate me in public. That wasn't about Jeremy. That was about how you see me. I was trying to be funny. At my expense. In front of our neighbors. Making me the punchline of your joke. That's not affection. That's contempt. The word hung in the air. She flinched. I don't have contempt for you. You treated me like I was worthless in that room. Like my feelings didn't matter as long as you got your laugh. That's contempt. I didn't mean it that way. Impact matters more than intent. And the impact was that everyone in that room saw you disrespect your husband publicly, including Vanessa, who's basically a stranger and still defended me when you wouldn't. She set her fork down. You're right. I was cruel. And I'm sorry. Genuinely sorry. I studied her face. She looked sincere. Tired, defeated, but sincere. Okay, I said. Here's where we are. You've apologized. You've blocked Jeremy. Those are good starts. But we have a long way to go. And if I catch you lying again about anything, we're done. No second chances. I understand. Sunday deadline is tonight. Are you in or out? She reached across the table and took my hand. I'm in. I want to make this work. I squeezed her hand once, then let go. Then let's see if actions match words this time. 2 weeks passed. On the surface, things seemed better. She came home on time. Her phone stayed face up on the counter, and she made efforts to engage in actual conversations. We had dinner together every night. She even suggested we start watching a series together, something we hadn't done in months. But something felt off. It was subtle, small hesitations before answering simple questions. The way she'd check her phone and quickly swipe away notifications. How she'd volunteer information before I asked, like she was establishing an alibi. Tuesday evening, she announced she was meeting Natalie for dinner. Just catching up. Should be back by 9. Sounds good. Have fun. She left around 6. I settled on the couch with a book, but my mind kept wandering. That feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. Around 7:30, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Hi, this is Natalie. Is this? She said my name. My stomach dropped. Yeah, that's me. Okay, good. Sorry to call, but I'm trying to reach your wife. She was supposed to help me move some furniture tonight, but she never showed up. Is she okay? I kept my voice neutral. She told me she was meeting you for dinner. Silence on the other end. Then, we didn't have plans for dinner. We were supposed to move my bookshelf at 6. Got it. Thanks for letting me know. Is everything all right? I'll handle it. Thanks again. I hung up and stared at the wall. She'd lied. 2 weeks of transparency, and she'd already lied. I pulled up her location on the phone tracker we'd agreed to use. She was across town at the Riverside Cafe, the same place on Madison Street she'd mentioned in her text to Jeremy. I grabbed my keys. The drive took 15 minutes. I parked down the street and walked to the cafe. Through the window, I spotted her at a corner table, and across from her, Jeremy. They were deep in conversation, her hand on the table near his. Laughing, comfortable, like the past 2 weeks hadn't happened. I could have stormed in, made a scene, but that's not how I operate. I took out my phone and snapped a photo through the window. Clear shot of both of them. Then I walked back to my car and drove home. She came through the door at 9:15, carrying takeout bags from somewhere else entirely. Hey, Natalie and I grabbed Thai food. Brought you some leftovers. She held up the bag with a smile. I was sitting on the couch, my phone in my hand. That was nice of you. Yeah, we had a good time. Just talked about everything and nothing. You know how it is. How's her bookshelf situation? Her smile faltered. What? The bookshelf. She needed help moving it tonight. Did you guys get it done before dinner? The color drained from her face. We didn't get to it. We just did dinner. That's funny, because Natalie called me around 7:30 asking where you were. Said you never showed up to help her move furniture. She set the takeout bag down slowly. Okay, I can explain. I'm sure you can. But before you do, you should know I drove to the Riverside Cafe tonight. Saw you with Jeremy through the window. Got a nice photo of it too. She went completely still. So here's what's going to happen. I continued, my voice steady. You're going to stop lying. Right now? No more excuses, no more explanations. Just the truth. She sank onto the arm of the chair. We were just talking. You were supposed to be rebuilding trust. That required transparency. Instead, you lied about where you were going, used Natalie as a cover story, and met with the same guy you swore you'd cut contact with. All within 2 weeks. I blocked his number. He emailed me. He said he needed closure. Just one conversation to clear the air, and then he'd leave me alone. And you believed him? I thought it would help end things cleanly. So instead of telling me about the email, you snuck around behind my back. Again, after everything we talked about, after you promised complete transparency. She started crying. I knew you'd say no. I knew you'd get angry. You're right. I would have said no. Because it's not appropriate to meet your ex secretly when you're trying to save your marriage. But you knew that. You just didn't care. That's not fair. What's not fair is you standing there crying when you're the one who lied. What's not fair is me giving you a second chance and you throwing it away after 2 weeks. What's not fair is expecting me to trust you when you've proven I can't. She wiped her eyes. So what now? You're just going to leave? I'm going to do what I should have done 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow morning, I'm calling the landlord. You have 30 days to find a new place. You can't just kick me out. The lease is in my name. You're not on it. I absolutely can. And before you try to argue, I already checked with someone who knows rental law. You'll get your 30 days, which is more than fair. This is insane. One mistake, and you're throwing away our entire marriage. This isn't one mistake. This is a pattern. 3 months of lying about Jeremy. The public humiliation. 2 weeks of fake transparency while planning another secret meeting. You show me exactly who you are. I'm just finally believing it. She stood up, anger replacing tears. You know what? Fine. Maybe this marriage isn't worth saving. You've been looking for an excuse to bail this whole time. I gave you every opportunity to make this right. You chose Jeremy. Again, own that. I chose to have one conversation with someone I used to care about. That's not choosing him over you. You lied to do it. You used your best friend as an alibi. You went to the same cafe you'd been sneaking to before. Those were all choices. And each one told me where your priorities actually are. She grabbed her purse. I'm going to Lawrence. Good idea. Start figuring out your next living situation while you're there. She stopped at the door. You're really doing this? Just like that. Just like that. You can come back tomorrow to start packing. I'll be at work. What about our stuff? Our shared things. Make a list. We'll split it fairly. This doesn't have to be complicated if you don't make it complicated. She left without another word. The door closing felt final. I sat in the silence for a while, processing everything. Part of me expected to feel sad or conflicted. Instead, I felt relieved. I'd given her a chance. She'd wasted it. Now I could move forward without wondering if I'd done enough. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. Saw your wife leave upset again. You doing okay? I typed back. Actually, yeah. Making some necessary changes. Appreciate you checking in. Good for you. Seriously. Takes strength to know your worth. I smiled at that. She was right. It did take strength. And I was done settling for someone who didn't see my value. Wednesday morning, I called the landlord and explained the situation. He was understanding, confirmed I could stay on the lease alone, and agreed to send her a formal notice. At work, I stayed focused and productive. Around lunch, my phone lit up with messages from her. I didn't read them. Whatever she had to say didn't matter anymore. Lauren called in the afternoon. Can we talk about this? She's devastated. She made her choices, Lauren. I respect you trying to help, but this is done. She wants another chance. She says she'll do anything. She had another chance. She blew it. I'm not doing this cycle again. Lauren sighed. I understand. For what it's worth, I told her she brought this on herself. I appreciate that. When I got home that evening, some of her things were gone. She'd been in while I was at work, packing. Good. The faster we separated, the better. Over the next week, she moved her belongings out in stages. We barely spoke. She tried a few times to start conversations about working things out, but I shut them down. By day 25, she was completely moved out. The apartment felt emptier, but also lighter. Like pressure I didn't know I was carrying had finally lifted. I changed the locks, updated my emergency contacts, and started planning what came next. For the first time in months, I felt like myself again. The divorce papers arrived on a Thursday. I'd used an online service to keep costs down. Everything was straightforward since we didn't own property together and had no kids. She called 5 minutes after the courier left. You actually filed? Did you think I was bluffing? I thought you'd cool down. Give us actual time to work through this. I gave you time. You used it to lie and meet Jeremy again. We're past working through anything. She tried a different angle. What about all our memories? 8 years together. That has to mean something. It did mean something. Past tense. You chose to throw it away when you couldn't respect basic boundaries. One meeting with Jeremy doesn't erase everything we built. It wasn't one meeting. It was months of lying, public humiliation, and then lying again after promising transparency. Stop trying to minimize it. Silence. Then, can we at least talk in person? Please. There's nothing left to discuss. Sign the papers or don't. Either way, we're done. I hung up. Over the next 2 weeks, she tried everything. Texts apologizing, calls from her family, even a letter dropped off at my door talking about counseling and second chances. I didn't respond to any of it. Lauren texted one last time. She's really struggling. Are you sure there's no way to fix this? I wrote back. She struggled to be honest. She struggled to respect me. Now she's struggling with consequences. That's not my problem anymore. The final hearing was brief. She showed up with red eyes. I came prepared with documentation. The judge granted the divorce without issues. We split our savings account evenly, divided the furniture we'd listed, and walked out of that courthouse as strangers. In the parking lot, She tried one more time. I hope you know I did love you. Maybe you did. But you loved the attention from Jeremy more. And you loved yourself most of all. She had no response to that. I got in my car and drove away. No looking back, no second thoughts. 3 months later, I ran into Vanessa at the coffee shop near our building. We talked for 20 minutes, genuine and easy. She mentioned she'd heard about the divorce through building gossip. How are you holding up? She asked. Honestly, better than I've been in a year. She smiled. Good for you. You deserve someone who actually appreciates what they have. We exchanged numbers, just as friends. No pressure, no expectations. Life moved forward. I focused on work, reconnected with old friends, started going to the gym consistently. The apartment that once felt empty now felt like mine. 6 months after the divorce, I heard through Lauren that my ex had gotten back together with Jeremy. It lasted 3 weeks before he moved to another state for work. I didn't feel vindicated or sad. I just felt nothing. She was someone else's problem now, and I was free. A year after the divorce, I barely recognized my old life. The apartment got a fresh coat of paint, new furniture that I actually picked out, photos of trips I'd taken with friends who genuinely cared about me. Work promoted me to a position I'd been chasing for 2 years. Turned out I was more focused without the constant stress of a failing marriage. Vanessa and I became close friends. Nothing romantic, just genuine respect and easy conversation. She introduced me to her friend circle, and suddenly I had a social life that didn't revolve around my ex's schedule. One Saturday, I was carrying groceries from my car when I saw her in the parking lot. My ex. She looked tired, older somehow. Hey, she said quietly. Hey. Awkward silence stretched between us. You look good, she offered. Happy. I am. You. She shrugged. Getting by. Working 2 jobs now. Rent's expensive on my own. I nodded, but didn't offer sympathy. That wasn't my responsibility anymore. I heard you got promoted. Congratulations. Thanks. She hesitated. Then, I've been thinking about that night at the condo meeting. How it all started falling apart. I was cruel. I'm sorry. I appreciate that. Genuinely. Do you ever think about what could have been different? If I'd just been honest from the start. Sometimes. But mostly I'm grateful it ended when it did. Before kids, before a mortgage, before I wasted more years. She flinched but nodded. That's fair. Well, I should go. Take care of yourself. You too. I watched her walk to her car, drive away. Felt nothing but mild relief that I wasn't in her situation. That evening, Vanessa knocked on my door with pizza and a 6-pack. Heard you ran into your ex, figured you might want company. Building gossip travels fast. She grinned. Small community. So how'd it go? Fine. Weird, but fine. She apologized for the condo meeting thing. And nothing. Some apologies come too late to matter. I've moved on. Vanessa raised her beer. To moving on. I clinked my bottle against hers. To moving on. We spent the evening laughing about terrible movies and making plans for next weekend's hiking trip. Simple. Easy. Pressure-free. Later, after she left, I stood on my balcony looking at the city lights. A year ago, I was married and miserable. Now I was single and content. I'd learned that self-respect isn't negotiable. That loving yourself means refusing to accept less than you deserve. That sometimes the best decision is walking away. My ex made her choices. I made mine. And for the first time in years, I was exactly where I wanted to be.